Okay, we're good.
Thank you, Martha.
504.
It's 5:04. I'm calling this meeting to order. Going to the second line item is the motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Um, a second. Going to the third line item is a consent or approval of minutes for our last meeting.
Motion.
I second. I want to welcome everybody back to the Health and Awareness Committee. I think what we're gonna do is just go around, say our name because I think I see new faces and what organization you are.
Sandy Stewart, Chief of Student Support Services. I support the Health and Wellness Committee.
Bobby Funcio, Director of Physical Education and Health.
Mark Rudy, Rural Council for Health, Director of Health and Chapter, and we support health and wellness of all community.
These folks, also with our Council for Health. Karen Weatherall, with Rhode Island Healthy Schools Coalition. Nice to see everyone again in the new school year.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brett Nato. I'm the acting district manager for Sodexo Food Services here at Providence Schools.
I'm Aubrey Johnson. I am a parent and co-chair for the Parent Advisory Council.
I'm Colleen Judge. I'm Director of Student Assistance Services for Rhode Island Student Assistance Services.
I'm Josh Busse. I'm a parent of two PSS students.
Good question. Yes, Sodexo. Are you the new point guy for Sodexo like yes?
Yes, yes.
Great. Welcome to the committee. I'm gonna go.
Introduce yourself.
Oh yeah. My name is Najee. I'm the second youngest board members on the school board and the chair for health and awareness. And it's an honor to be working with you guys. I came for this country as a refugee, and people here, in Providence, they helped me succeed. And I think that the way for me to give back was to volunteer on school board. It's a privilege really to be as a chair, and I think our responsibility is to prioritize our students' mental health. So thank you.
Tony Aiken, a school board member, and it's also an honor to be here as well with this wonderful group. And thank you, Jim, for everything you do for health and wellness for our students.
Thank you so much. We're gonna go to the second line item, the planning. Is so give everybody the sign up sheet. Great. I think the next thing that we're gonna do is if you can create a Google form so we can share it with the community members today, so they can share it also with the networks because I'm working to get this to a group of 12 students. I'm working with the mayor team and also with Councilor Juan Pachado. You guys can remember last year, not this year, a couple months ago, we worked very hard and you guys did an amazing work with students to make sure the mental health fair happens. We had almost 400 community members that showed up. And, the students worked very hard on it. And I remember going to some of these meetings, the students will come early in the morning and sometimes they come to the health and awareness, they up very late. I think that if we're gonna continue to ask the students to do these works, we should pay them too for their time. So this was a discussion that we've been talking about last year when we had the health and awareness. So we're gonna focus on that. So you're gonna be seeing students back here. And also, so we're gonna create a Google form and send it. And please, if you can share with your network, we want to to expand at this community. So next we have the subgroup. So last year we had the health, the nutrition and the physical activity subcommittee, and also we had healthy relations, and also we had social and emotional learning. I think that last year with we had to combine some of these subcommittee because we didn't have a lot of my members, and that's why William, I'm gonna ask you guys again if you can help us, send out this application once send this done, so we can have more members in this subcommittee because I even thinking to add one more committee on bullying and substance use. I talk to students during the mental health, and students created the mental health clubs in their schools. And one thing they focus and they discuss in the schools is bullying. And I think that this specific subcommittee can focus on working on material that teachers can be posting in rooms, and maybe also to help teachers weigh how to start these conversations. And also, and students have their own clubs, where their own peers come up to schools. For example, Central High School, Classical, for instance. So, if you can, start this committee, and we can expand it to make sure that every high school have like a mental health club. So mental health club where we can send the resources. And also, other updates. There was Rhode Island received, I believe, like a grant with Hazel, where our students gonna be receiving mental health services. So the state gonna be sending, I believe, this grant to every committee and around Rhode Island. So I'm gonna be working. We're gonna be working to see, to see like how this money is gonna be sent, and so because honestly, I'm thinking for us to have back, a great right here. We've been having these conversations, having like to enter here so we can start get back on what it brings. The district is facing a lot of financial challenges, so I think that this can help out a lot. Um, yeah. Yes.
Who is that grant from?
It's for the Hazel.
Hazel.
Yeah, they receive. Yeah, yeah, it's a foundation where they provide mental health services to students.
Television,
Yeah.
Oh, like telehealth.
Yeah.
telehealth,
Yeah.
digital.
Yes.
It's a 24/7
Yeah, 24.
availability.
24/7.
Is it the mobile crisis?
Mobile
crisis unit?
No, there's not that way.
Okay. I get a lot of notifications as a parent, but yeah, I didn't know about that one.
The ride center, maybe we can get as well.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Okay.
So yeah, that's good. And I think that's amazing, but me personally, I don't think that's we need more money because the district side started the pilot program at Mount Pleasant High School of Smart Clinics, and I don't remember if you guys were here. They did the presentations. Amazing works, So I think that there's a way for us to work with the state, like, to see if we can use this program and also expand these smart clinics. It's working very well. Yeah, that's something is we can. Yeah.
I just had a question about the smart clinics. Have you looked into or received any feedback from students or parents regarding the smart clinic? Because I haven't.
No.
I think that's something that should be delved into.
In addition to, and I agree, we do need to bolster the services, and the chairman and I have been in discussion with a program that's been launched in Bristol Warren district, which is highly effective. It's called Counselor, and it's actually going to involve in-person counseling sessions as well as telehealth. But it's just something that we're in the beginning stages of exploring. And just for comparison, maybe Hazel Health would offer that, or maybe I know, Sandy, you mentioned there's some in-house services as well. So just looking at different services to just bolster what we have to support our students' needs and mental health and general overall well-being.
Thank you. Before there's another thing that we worked on last year too. The district keep playing games on this. We were supposed the district had a curriculum officer and what's the new person? The curriculum director.
Oh, yes. Are you talking about the brand new chief of
Yes.
academics? Oh, Dr. Dillon? Okay.
Yeah, so we've been trying to make because the committee we talked about sex education and also teachers. They reach out. I remember we were trying to meet, and with PSU we had a couple meetings to get this done. And teachers, they reach out to the committee. They want our help to see how they can talk about it in the classrooms. So I think that in the next meeting, please.
I have an update for you on that.
Yes. Yeah, please make sure they're here so we can start working on it. By the end, in the middle of this fall, so we can send curriculum updates or maybe some recommendations from this committee. Good. The other thing is recess, and yeah, and what's you want to talk about it?
Yes, recess is a major component to our physical activity for our students. And I know that Chairman Mehigaboo last academic year spent a lot of time, responding to concerns from community members and parents, and going out to physically observe recess being conducted.
Yeah.
And he came back and he shared with us that the findings were favorable, correct?
Yeah.
Well, however, which was great news, and that we did quell those concerns. However, this new cycle, this new academic year, I have been receiving some calls from parents, specifically at the VC Street School. I received my third complaint just this week. And actually, parent Michelle Fuentes over on Berkshire Street was very concerned, stating that the recess and the lunch break is infiltrating together, and the students don't seem to be getting enough time on either end. So Mr. Mehigaboo is going to also investigate that as well, just to ensure that both time frames, maybe they can toggle the time frames so that they're just not so back to back. Might be just a good start to ensure that.
And last week I came to meet with school department. The superintendent was here, but I met with his team. They assured me that students receiving recess. However, we having this complaint still. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna investigate, reach out to the superintendents again, get to the schools and find out this is clearly legal. Students need to, need to have recess. So that I wanted to bring that attention to, because this is, we cannot go in weeks now and parents calling, nothing's happening. So that's what we're gonna be working on. So the next we have, the
I
sub.
think we have a question.
Yeah, is it appropriate to ask questions?
Yeah,
for someone?
yes.
Yeah? Okay. So I just wanted to mention, and Sandy would know about this, over the past, in the past 10 years, the Providence elementary schools, some of them, I'm gonna say maybe 10, participated in a
Recess
statewide
Rocks.
program, Recess Rocks in Rhode Island. And I'm just wondering, I don't know, it's a program that is a training to support the adults in the building to establish a system for recess and a space for recess to make it so that it's safe, that it's inclusive, that it's kind, and that it's managed well, so that there aren't issues on the playground. Sometimes what you hear in a building are that there's a lot of things that can go wrong during recess, the nurses are involved, the kids, they can't get them into the classroom. So it's really, designed so that, as you said, kids have to play. It's important that they go outside. And what the trainers who have worked with 125 elementary schools across the state have some best practices to share. So I just want to put that out there. I know we've tried, the challenges are that historically the program, it's a 2 full-day training with a recess team the principal, the PE teacher, and then several others from the building recess supervisors, that is tough to pull them out during the school day. But maybe there's even a way with some information or virtual, I'm just saying,
Well, last year too, Karen, what we did is we actually had them, like, we had the trainers go to the school. We kind of worked
that
around
was
that
the
because
refresh.
that
Yes.
was a, you know, an issue. Being a, you know, I was trained in Recess Rocks. It's amazing. It's a really structured play. It's incredible. And we put it
Which
out there.
school was it that we did that at?
West was one of the first schools to start
No, but
it.
the refresh for last year?
Bailey.
At Bailey, yeah.
And so we put out a survey. We asked, you know, and we had quite a few principals who were
Yeah.
interested and wanted to participate. And so it was great. We had a nice little cohort. So I actually put that down as possibly a presentation around like some recess options. I think is great. And I think that's an amazing first topic for the physical activity and nutrition group. I think that would be something really great to kind of, you know, further discuss. The good news is, asking you shall receive. I have Mr. DiMuccio here, and so to share a little bit about the restructure of how PPSD is moving forward. So as you know, Julie Lombardi last year really was the partner, and so this year she's taken on a little bit different of a role. So I will be back with you all. I missed you all so much. I'm like, oh, we gotta come back. I do really enjoy this. I do enjoy you all. And so I'll be back now supporting, but I've now brought this phenomenal colleague of mine, Mr. DiMuccio, who will be supporting also. And the good news is that Mr. DiMuccio is in charge of physical education and health. So I heard loud and clear for the past 2 years from this committee that a lot of the questions and, you know, topics that needed to be discussed was around that particular piece of curriculum. And so Mr. DiMuccio, we're excited, it's the first time this position is here at PPSD, and so he will be supporting. So we won't have to always schedule it, like we will have him here at our meetings in site. He will be co-leading with me moving forward. So that's something where we've added, so. Okay.
And can I just follow up on one more on the recess? If you think that, so this program it's free, fully funded by Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and I will say that they have a particular interest in supporting our urban schools and under-resourced schools. So that is why that bringing the trainers into a school, we call it refresh option, is not available necessarily to everyone. But if you've thought, and you can think about this, Sandy, and talk to your colleagues, if that model at Bailey worked well last year, we can look to see if, and maybe it's easy, another school that could benefit from that model of having a coach actually in the school and working with the school for several weeks. So think about that, and we can talk about that.
They
if
were
that
very
might be-
supportive in helping. They knew what our challenges were, and they
Yeah.
were very willing to help meet us wherever we were at, which was great. So, so yeah, absolutely. We could do
Okay.
another Google Doc, you know, asking for anybody who would like to participate, and then we can connect with them. Mr. DiMuccio and I can work on that together. That's not a problem. And I'll connect with you, Ms. Aiken, on the visa situation to get more specifics.
Very much as well.
Either I or Mr. DiMuccio.
Great, thank you so much, everybody. The next we have the subcommittee group. Because we don't have, you know, a lot of people who can show up today. So what are we going to talk about? We're just going to share ideas. Some of the things that you guys think the committee should prioritize this year. I leave, you know, I pull here, you know, to expand the smart clinics and clearly, and also, you know, meeting with parents and students in the school here, you know, their opinions, and mental health fair, to do another mental health fair, working with students. You guys gonna see them in the next meeting, you know, so they can also tell us about their programs in schools, like the mental health club they created at classical high schools, and you know, creating a new subcommittee, you know, for bullying and substance use, and getting the CES education curriculum and also all curriculum recommendations. You know, I want this done. So those are the things I think that we should, you know, focus. You know, it's really for the smart clinics. We think that was, you know, created to the fund with lifespan.
Yeah, so we have 3 currently in the district.
Yeah.
George West is our last one. And so part of that was also, a personal donor at that particular site, so, who donated that, and so we have one there. The original one was at Mount Pleasant, and then it was Roger Williams and George West. So we have 3 in the district. So we normally do a presentation. I have that on my list as, maybe January presentation, if you like, of where we're at thus far with the smart clinics, and adding the piece that you suggested, which I think is a great piece about serving what families and students. I will talk with them. They might already have something, so I don't want to recreate if they do. So I'm going to check with them because I oversee smart clinics, so I'll make sure I check with them. And so I put that also on the list.
Audrey, if I may ask, could you provide a little insight about some of the feedback you're receiving?
Sure. So some of the feedback I got was students being pushed to smart clinics instead of just going to a nurse, which was taking a lot more time out of their school day. And then there was some issues with insurance, the force to push them to smart clinics so that insurance was utilized, once again, as opposed to going to the nurse or going there for services that weren't really necessary.
You can connect with me on that because we actually have a protocol that says they get seen through our school nurse teacher first before they go. Now, there are some times where if the school nurse isn't present, if they're out sick or whatever that may be, they would go through the smart clinic, which is great. But the protocol that we've created does state that they go through our team first and then our nurse makes the determination. So if there's things that, are not happening, or, you can just connect with me, separately and go through that. We also don't turn a child away even if they don't have insurance.
Right.
They're supposed to, see the child. So if that's happening again, I appreciate you if you let me know and then I'll follow up.
I think, so this was, I think it was right around the time that the presentation was last year, the smart clinic presentation, so I don't know if things have changed since then. I just haven't had a chance to speak on it, so.
When did you do it last
So
year?
things
Remember
might have
January?
changed.
Yes, we did.
January, okay.
Yeah,
I
so
will
it's
make
been a
sure
little
that
while.
I've received some favorable feedback, so it's eye-opener to share this information. And I think because it was initially rolled out at that time, there might have been some setbacks that we had to work through.
Bumps in the road.
But I think we'd follow up on that, Chairman, and Sandy, that would be appreciative.
Yes, no problem. I also have if it's okay with you, Joanne, I would like to do the January and June Sodexo presentation. It's part of our wellness policy that they present. And I did speak to, I apologize, Brett. I spoke to Brett, and so Brett and his team will do those presentations. If it's okay with you, we can put that on the agenda because we're a little bit late. I'd always like to do it, but I hate to start the first meeting with that. But I think January is okay. I think you have someone new on your team that will be doing that. So I think we'll add that.
Just a quick question for Sid. So last year you guys mentioned that you guys created, was it like a parent advisory for students?
Yeah, we worked along the last year and a half or so, we worked along with the Parent Advisory Council. We've also engaged with the students. We've done a tremendous amount of surveying in schools for menu items and food tastings and things like that. The last 2 school years, we've had members of Food Corps working with us that have been assisting us out in the schools and helping us with that student engagement. So the new staff member, we have a dietitian, a registered dietitian that we've just hired this week. She will be on board the week of November 11th, so she'll get the next meeting with us. And part of her work will be engaging with Parent Advisory Council, menus, nutritionals, the nursing department with Ms. Kendra, and of course the student engagement items.
I just have one question, Brett, because I actually did get a call from a parent that, most of the food items have been great, but the first week of school, and I don't remember what campus it was, it might actually be easy. They had something called Meat Surprise, and the child got sick off that. Is that something, like, what is Meat Surprise? Is it just like a meatloaf? Is it?
I'm not sure. We don't have a dish called meat surprise. I do recall, in fact, the leads are fantastic lead over there. Actually, I don't recall the particulars of the incident in the first week, but it was in fact a BZ school. We had to go over there and see exactly what was going on.
Yes.
I don't think we closed the door with administration in that building, and administration in the school department, Jay Menard. There wasn't anything that we could find that was relatable to the meal and how the student had reacted
Thank
to
you for
it.
investigating that.
But,
Direct response.
yeah, no,
The
anything.
child came up to me and I was just like, he's like, please fix it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to address this, I promise.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
knew that,
No, our on-site team in the
Investigate.
kitchen was able to quickly get with the building administration, take care of everything, look at the menu, see what it was. The items just weren't quite matching up the way that the student was describing it. So after that, there wasn't much that we could move forward with, but obviously anytime, we work very closely with all of the building administrators, and obviously anytime there's a student that has questions or issues, we're quick on the scene to make sure that we're taking care of things.
that's much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman, as well.
Yes.
It's just a follow-up question. So for the advisory councils, the parent advisory council, student advisory council, is it going to be just the dietitian that's working with them? Or is there someone else as well? I know Aaron did it.
Yeah, Aaron kind of, did it, and then he had the supporting role of everybody that's on the management team. So it'll probably be Nedge who's coming on board, and she'll be the main point of contact. But obviously just coming in new, I'll be there to kind of support her for the next several months and make sure that we're kind of getting stuff off the ground and running again this school year. Whatever we need to do, whoever we need to involve as part of the Sodexo team will certainly support Nedge and certainly support the advisory council, the parent advisory council.
Thank you.
I think we have a little bit to add on nutrition. So you want to just.
So my name is Lisa Lopes. I'm a local health and wellness coach within the state and a member of Rural Council for Health, an organization that seeks to just broaden public health knowledge through shared wisdom and science. And myself and Dr. Brody here are here tonight on behalf of the children and the families within our state. As a former school-based speech pathologist, I am really interested, and I find children's health really important. And I think that the academic success of our children is greatly tied to the food that we serve our kids in school. And I just think that the vast majority of what's being fed to school-age children is not really supporting their development or their health. I don't know if you guys are aware, but recently senators and food activists went to Congress regarding this issue, which has sparked a movement of more and more people speaking out to inform the public about the harm that our industrialized processed food is having on health, particularly that of our children's health. And most of what we currently serve to children in schools is considered highly processed food and offers minimal to no nutritional value. And I actually think that it hinders their ability to develop, think, attend, and thrive within their lives. And that's really why I'm here tonight. And there's plenty of data. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I don't think we're up to 6, I'm sorry.
I can go make my.
Yes.
We can share.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
There's plenty of data available supporting the idea that many of the challenges affecting our children can be attributed to our food supply and its impact on health and nutritional status. We are seeing an increase in illnesses and disorders that were rare or unheard of in children just a few short decades ago, such as the number of children with food allergies, those diagnosed with neurodevelopmental disorders, those with speech and language delays, those diagnosed with ADHD, those who are obese, have type 1 diabetes. I'm only scratching the surface, and those of you who sit before me, I'm sure have also seen a steady rise of behavior problems within school systems and a frightening increase in mental health disorders, which is what you've been talking about a lot this evening, of kind of to work towards remedying that. And I believe it's all tied to food. And it's not like all this is happening in a bubble. and like test scores are improving. We've seen the largest decline in reading and math scores in 9-year-olds and 13-year-olds respectively since 1990. And I just feel like we're failing, no matter the metric that you look at. And if we want our students to thrive, which I think all of the parents and educators that I've worked with over the years want, then we need to start prioritizing their nutrition and take action. So tonight I'm here to ask, are you willing to take action and stand up for the health of your children and commit to making changes to the food that we're serving our kids in schools? Are you willing to be a leader that decides that we have neglected our children's health for long enough? And if so, World Council for Health, we have many, many ideas and solution-driven plans to accomplish this that will come at no cost to your district. So plans that work to decrease the amount of ultra-processed foods and works to increase the amount of locally grown, whole, real foods that your kids are eating. Solutions that involve us working with current food vendors. Solutions that involve us working directly with children. Plans that seek to form partnerships with community members like local farmers. Solutions that involve school gardens and educating children on how to truly nourish their bodies. I think there's a clear path forward, and it's really forged by people who commit to doing better once they know better. Thank you.
I'm just going to add a little bit to what Lisa said. Thank you, by the way, for letting us speak here. The article that I passed out talks a lot about some legislation that Cory Booker proposed in the Senate trying to improve school nutrition programs. And why do we need that? It's because the school nutrition programs have been following FDA guidelines, or the standard guidelines for nutrition, we now know are obsolete. So somebody like Lisa, she's an expert in integrative nutrition. She understands a lot about not just what makes a good diet, the kind of toxins like glyphosate and other kinds of pesticides and neonicotinoids that are present in many of our foods. You get a hamburger, that's fine. Was it grass-fed? Was it raised in industrial agriculture in a CAFO, or was it raised properly, organically, without any of the additives and hormones? Does anybody know what kind of hamburgers our kids are getting, or hot dogs, or what kind of food, what kind of vegetables they're getting? Are those free of pesticides? Are those organic? Shouldn't we know those things? I think we have heard a lot about mental health, as Lisa said. If you're not physically well, your mental health is going to be compromised. And many studies have shown that. I can say because I was trained as a child psychiatrist. So I think the nutrition component is really big, and we have a lot of ideas. There have been many that have been tested previously. I know my niece was at Berkeley High School. They had a community garden there, which the students tended. We'd like to assist if we could in developing that. Liaison with local organic farms, have kids go out to the farms, help out, see how the animals are raised and vegetables are raised. Maybe we eat a few plants too. Get in touch with what agriculture really is, where their food comes from. It's not something that comes in a plastic bag or just shoved out on a tray. It's something that you helped to grow, and you saw how it was raised. You met the people, the farmer who was raising that. So you actually knew that person. I think these are the kinds of life-changing experiences that our kids are missing in the public school, especially in an urban environment. I mean, we've been actually liaisoning with Farm Fresh Rhode Island, which I'm hoping that we can get their cooperation. So what I think Lisa and I are asking for you is if you would allow us to serve as a liaison or consultant to help to set up programs and make sure that the kids that aren't getting food served to them that's high in pesticides or processed foods. Though there are foods in there that might be allergenic. Some kids, like that kid that you mentioned there, might have a food allergy. And we see this occasionally, and there are certain foods we know that are more allergenic than others. If you don't know those, you'll be like, oh, we couldn't find anything. Well, no, allergenic food are, you're not gonna find it. So I'm not saying that's what it is, I'm just saying that's a possibility. So anyway, I want to support what Lisa says, and we're all volunteers here, we'll Council for Health. We did this because we care about public health, and we feel like the public health system is not taking initiative to make sure that kids get proper health. The other thing I think would be a good idea is to teach the kids something about nutrition. Let them know what to eat, so they can come home and tell their parents, don't serve me that crap. Serve something that's gonna make you go healthy and strong and not make me sick and give me diabetes or obesity or metabolic syndrome, whatever. So I think that would be another program that we would love to help you coordinate if you want our expertise. So I'm just gonna finish up, I realize I'm going on a bit, with following up on an agenda that I brought in, which is tangentially related, and that is issue of cell phones in schools. And I'm gonna ask again, I only brought 6 copies, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was not prepared, and I was trying to save on ink, being a little too personalized, but I do have so many people to share them.
I think we give you it.
Whenever you got more here.
Oh.
These are more articles that suggest, first of all, that the idea of banning cell phones in schools is catching fire all over this country. There are many, many schools that are banning cell phones. Actually talked to I have 2 kids in school here, Ellie and Jude, they're in 10th grade, classical high school. And I asked them, what do they think about cell phones in school? They said, it's really annoying, it really distracts, and it's very frustrating because kids will just sit there on their cell phones and the teacher doesn't do anything. And as you can see, cell phones now, I brought in a book last time by Jonathan Haidt, who's a psychologist. Got an extra one, takers? No? Okay. So Jonathan Haidt is a psychologist at NYU. And he wrote a book called The Anxious Generation, and it's about how cell phones are creating a generation of socially underdeveloped and highly anxious individuals who are not prepared to cope with the stresses. There's another woman who's a generational psychologist, Jean Tooney, who wrote iGen, talked about the same generation, that the kids are not maturing properly. And you wonder why we're having mental health problems. Look at the food, look at all the cell phone usage. How do we start there? You go to the counselor and you say, hey, how come you're not listening to me? How come you're on your cell phone? Well, maybe that's the problem to begin with. So I'm going to suggest that the committee, which I think was nice enough to listen the first time, maybe take this under serious consideration, because while we wait and dinner, kids are using their cell phones. Other states are moving forward with cell phone bans. My daughters actually didn't like the idea of the cell phone ban. They said that they would like to be able to turn it off during school, during class, and then go get it after class. Okay, but the studies have shown that schools which ban cell phones, the kids actually are happier. In many cases, they're actually grateful. So I think we need to look at some sort of compromise and possibly try different approaches, see what works best. But I think some restriction on cell phone usage in schools is not only helpful for the kids' mental health, but as you can see, it's been associated with brain cancer. So, we don't want to see our kids getting brain cancer. There are some kids who develop brain cancer. I just read about one recently, and this should never happen. So we have many, many health reasons to pursue this ban, and many other states are already taking the lead in it. Why don't we take the lead ourselves instead of behind the pack and following them? So I urge the committee to really take that initiative seriously and develop some kind of program for modifying the cell phone usage in schools.
Can I share some updates with you? Because you touched on a couple things. So one, you're right about the nutrition education. It's so important, which is why we do include it in our health curriculum. I know, Mr. Dimitri, you could probably talk about with grade levels, but it is included, as far as like even low as elementary school. Gardens are great. We actually have some gardens here in the district, like George J. West has a gorgeous garden. We had Sodexo, our partners, do some in-classroom gardens, and I forget what they're called, but they're cool. I just forgot what they're called.
They were
But-
terraponic.
Thank
Yes,
you.
terraponic.
They weren't
really
hydroponic,
cool.
but they were so that they could be indoor gardens.
Yes,
gardening
good, cool.
experiences.
And then for the cell phones, you're right. We have a school actually at Green, and I forget the name of it, but it's a cool device where they put their cell phones inside the pocket. Yonder, thank you, that was it. Yeah, and I think the chairman could give an update on that too for you. Like,
Yes. What? Oh, I thought you wanted to go ahead.
What did you want me to talk about?
So I wanted to make a couple comments. First, it's an honor to have you guys join this committee, and I would really appreciate if you guys can join the nutrition subcommittee, and we can work with the district to see some of the work that the districts have been doing and where we are missing and where we can collaborate. And also for those self-events, I went to a 360 University Sanchez school, and I saw the students, they have what is the name of the device that they
Yonder pouch.
the school board we voted for it. They started a pilot program to a couple schools. So it's been successful. I talked to students. I talked to you. I went there because I wanted to meet with students to see if we can hold our health and awareness community in the school next time. But the students, they love it. The administrators, they say helping, and the teachers too had a conversation. They say it's great. So if you guys agree, I think that is one of the resolutions that this committee can start on for us to go in all schools. Because if it's working, we started a pilot program, if it's working, and we know hearing complaints from students, teachers, and parents, they know this is happening. I think that we can go forward.
Even if you hear complaints, you stop doing it, it's the right thing. It's good for kids' health, you stop doing it just because they don't like it. I mean, I can tell you with my kids, it's an addiction. It's an addiction. And would you take it away an addiction because the person says, I want to keep being with something addicted to? No, you look and you say, that's not good for you. You got to break your addiction. And I think we all realize that with drugs, but cell phones are another kind of addiction. I think anybody who has a teenager is unlikely to disagree with me about that. But anyway, I want to thank you all for listening, and just please reach out to us. We'll probably be coming to further meetings to give you further updates on our progress, because we're doing some independent projects. And I appreciate your work for all kids and for my kids.
Great.
I
Yes.
Are you saying you want to expand yonder? Are you saying you want to expand yonder?
No,
Not
it's
necessary, yeah.
to see if we can expand it more so, because I went to 360 high schools and I talked to students and teachers, and this is the school that it's working, it's working, and I think it also helps students focus. I think that we should expand it, and
I think evidence is showing, because it's being, completely on the middle school level, I think evidence is showing grades are improving, test scores are improving, so I think the expansion district-wide is, warranted to move forward. I think with the yonder, because of I think we spoke about this, the costs associated with that, so maybe looking at the high school level, maybe because they're a little bit more mature, maybe kind of working, so that, during class time, their phones are off. I was thinking even having like a pod outside of classrooms for high school students where they can have access to their phones and stay in touch with their, either if they're in sports and other activities, clubs after school, give them a little bit of a sense of autonomy with that, but I think we do need to explore different.
My daughter told me that one of the problems is that none of the kids like it when the other kids in the class turn on their cell phones. What we dislike even more is the teacher that tolerates it. A lot of the teachers, they don't do anything. They're just tired of being disciplinarians. I've done some teaching. I don't like it either. But part of the problem is that the teachers aren't enforcing the rules. Just you know that. You may want to inform your policy decisions.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, and I just was showing this morning for those of you, and I have some of our programs and also which can be very handy, especially to a key health department. This was all the exhibitors that was at our annual breakfast for school wellness leaders with their contact information. But one of the presentations that we had this morning, Yonder actually was there as an exhibitor talking to many other districts in the state. But the Central Falls Middle School principal was part of a panel discussion. Central Falls, many of you know, a small city, but they have one high school and one middle school. So they implemented, this is their second year for both their middle and high school. But what I wanted to clarify a little bit, and I understand sometimes with the older students, every community is different. And when she talked about how they implemented it, what the impacts have been, you need to work with all the stakeholders. Just coming in and saying, we're doing this does not matter. I know you can say, would you say to a young person, it's not healthy for you, but we're gonna let you do it. But you have better outcomes sometimes when you bring in those and you have conversations, hearing from parents, hearing from students. But what the principal said was they don't allow it at all during the day. They do use the Yonder pouches. What they have found is that, yes, there's less learning distractions, there's more conversation in the classroom, in the lunchroom. People are talking to each other. They're not watching videos on their phone. So they're looking at that as almost to a mental health. They said there's less bullying going on. There's not people looking at social media, anxiety. Did I get likes on this? I'm on this, I'm texting this person. So they have found it at this point, this is their second year, to really show that they have a greater sense of the school community. She did say, sure, do we have some kids that break it, that say, I don't have a phone, I'm not using it? Of course, but they work through that. But on the whole, she was talking about that. So I just wanted to mention the one thing that it's not just, yes, it is an issue about teaching and learning, but it's also an issue on that kind of social emotional. We've talked about this in this committee for so long, and particularly during the pandemic when kids were not having that connection with each other. It's so important that they do. But I do think that they need to be involved in it too. And I don't know where the district might go with your program that you have. So they do have it in all of your middle schools, correct?
I was thinking,
So-
remember, do we have a cell phone policy?
Just in the middle school district,
I think they all do.
Yeah, they all have.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so all the middle schools, but it hasn't yet been
So we're gonna start there. That's
considered for the high
It's
school.
under me not
Yeah,
being
we need to check
the
it
best
out.
answer for everybody,
Right.
but I think it's a good
Yes.
place to start. And then you solicit input from other stakeholders, and you come up with a plan that's
Yeah.
attuned to the local needs, and that still limits or restricts cell phone usage during class time.
And there have been, even some states are looking at, as you said, I would say in this state, many communities now are looking at doing something because it's just gotten to the point, I think people are recognizing, we're hearing all the research on how it is impacting mental health and how it is a distraction in the classroom. And as you said, I've heard, I was in another community where there was an open forum on this and the teachers just saying, you find yourself policing at almost half of the classes. First offense for you, second offense, wait a minute, who took it out of the drawer? I gotta remember, or that, one said that they used a pouch system, but she said when there's a fire drill, I'm responsible for all these cell phones. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here, I gotta take all the cell phones. So with the Yonder, the student carries it with them. So a teacher's not responsible for expensive phones of all kids, that if the student carries it, they're responsible, but it's just law. Again, I think there's different solutions, but maybe something more that we discuss
We were just saying,
here.
I'm not even sure if we have a cell phone policy. That's something I think we have to check in first before we think about what's the mechanism we're gonna use to.
Before you implement it, I will also try to do some research to see what some of the problems. I heard that some of the kids break them or don't, destroy them. And so try to get ahead of the game, figure out what the problems are, figure out solutions to the problems before they happen. So that, implement this and then everybody says, look at all these problems that will come because of your policy. You get ahead of it, figure out the problem, solve them ahead of time.
On this policy, I think I'm gonna assign the social and emotional learning subcommittee, so they can, review the policies and also even if this committee have to recommend, this the funding, this subcommittee gonna work on it and present to all of us. We make recommendations to the district, then I can bring it as a resolution to the board.
Just for your information, it's not just social and emotional, it certainly is, in a very large part, but electromagnetic radiation is physically harmful. Too much of it. And this has been demonstrated, increased rates of breast cancer, brain cancer, other microbiome disturbances. This is a general health issue. If you want to put it in that committee, let's start somewhere. So.
You could also bring it to the actual policy committee that the district has also, so that way they could support that, right?
That's a
Good.
good recommendation.
And that way we could focus a little more, because what I've heard a lot, I've taken some notes and I've been listening, and I think, Ms. Nagel, you shared very, that, something that you feel sort of like bullying, and I think like bullying is something that we could fit in with the healthy relationships group, which is a really important piece. I think we can embed it there. And you're right, substance abuse is really important, and I'm so glad that we have I'm very happy to announce that we actually have RISE counselors in all of our middle and high schools for the first time. We had a couple of schools that didn't have one, but this year for the first time, every school has one. So
We're
I
still
think
hiring.
we're still hiring,
Every
but
school has the potential to have one, and this is
yes.
Melly Bella.
so we're so happy to have her
She's
here.
also in the-
And so the goal is that every school will. So that's great. And I'm thinking like the substance abuse, I think is an amazing topic to put in our SEL and mental health subcommittee.
And
And
so
that way
I
we
forgot
can
to
embed
men-
it.
I forgot to mention, the bullying and the substance use are actually from Central, students from Central. They also have the substance use club. These students, they
Share
raising
with them
things.
too.
Yeah, so,
Yes. Central
When-
High School.
yes,
Yeah.
so, with the teachers, right, run by the teachers. So they're gonna be joining the committee and, doing amazing.
Like, I just like to, echo that as well, Mr. Chairman, that October is anti-bullying month, and I think having these conversations, whether it's regarding, cell phones and, the social emotional piece of it and the healthy relationship part of it, I think there's just so many ways we can help combat this and work together to reduce bullying in schools with our students, with each other, adults too, right? So,
And also the students, they started, advocacy work in the school, they printing pamphlets, they give to the school, to their fellow peers at the schools.
so they're leading the way.
Yeah, we need to figure out a way to help them and also for their mental welfare. And we have a lot of things we're gonna get done.
Yes, I
And-
will share,
Yeah,
right?
but, yes, good.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much. Yes.
So I'll share, so you want me to share some of the, SEL and mental health work we've been doing?
Yes,
Let's start, okay.
yes.
I can do an update of that.
Do we have any other, comments, things that we should prioritize? Maybe some specific committees should talk about.
I just have a clarification question. In terms of cell phones, you're talking about policy to ban cell phones, but not policy to use them. Is that accurate?
So we're trying to see like why,
Get all sides
Yeah,
of that,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
so and once,
Multi-pronged.
so we're gonna look, all sides and, the social and emotional, they're gonna look into it as well and then send it to the policy and as we're gonna be and also like working and for the cell phone ban to see like what has been working in other schools, what's the parents saying, what's the testimony from principals, and so we can bring them here so they can speak as well. So people in the social emotional subcommittee, they can start with a draft and they bring it here and we'll work on it. And once it's perfect, so I can send it as a board, as a resolutions, and as something we all worked on. Yeah, that's what we think.
So I would recommend again getting, feedback from not just principals, because it's gonna be, right, from students who I know, but parents as well, other people that are in the school all the time. As a parent that volunteered in the school from when Yonder started till the end of the year, I can't advocate for Yonder. I can say it's a huge waste of money, and I stand by that, but I would just say, get feedback from other sources that don't have a, voice in the race, so to speak.
Can I just ask what your observation, do you mind even?
I don't mind at
And I
all.
agree with you totally.
I don't
from
mind at all.
other-
So basically with Yonder, what happened is it was gung ho in the beginning, all hands on deck. Then as time progressed, people slack. They don't want to deal with it. Then it got to the point where, so what happens is the students go into school and they go in, they get in line. Do you have a cell phone? No. Okay, sign your name here. Bye. So that list grew as the year went on. So the amount of kids that didn't have a cell phone, you can't do anything about it. You can't search them. If you have a cell phone in class, the teacher is or isn't going to reprimand you, right? So what ended up happening was it became a system where it was exactly that it wasn't done. So the teachers, it became the same system for where they had the pouches, right? You went in, you couldn't be caught with your cell phone. If you got caught, you may or may not have got reprimanded. They took it, they put it in an envelope till the end of the day, you had to go get it. You can do that without spending $140,000, $150,000. I don't have anything against not using the cell phones in the schools. I definitely have nothing against that. I have something against spending a bunch of money on an idea that people pretend is working, and people that aren't in the trenches are speaking on as working. That's where, for me, the problem lies. So before Yonder was initiated, when I looked up Yonder, the first 3 things that came up was how to get into it and how to break them out. Literally, that's the first 3 things that came up.
Checkheads on Google.
Right.
I'm sure some do and stuff. And again, I just wonder if that's one school's experience, and it sounds like if there's not a cell phone policy, right, that's all part of, if there wasn't like a good plan and that all the teachers bought into it and everybody was, following, again, there are gonna be kids that are gonna break them, obviously, of course there are. But if there is an implementation plan that everybody is following and there's a policy in place, what happens if this, and it's not, well, you give it to me, you're gonna be in trouble, I don't, just get out of my class and I don't care what you do, if it's being implemented differently in every classroom, then that isn't going to, going to work.
And if it's every classroom that's different, it's every school that's different, it's every.
Right. And maybe that was one school and it's not the
That's
same
why
in
once
another
we do the
school.
policy, we'll have to do a
Exactly.
guidebook that goes along with it,
Yeah.
because part of the policy is helping schools to be able to implement the policy. So to me, that's really the important piece. It's like, here are the solutions, here are the things you can do, and it gives like a play-by-play to a school how to enact that policy. It's something we normally do with all of our policies, and so that's the important piece that I hear you talking about.
I was going to say, hi, my name is Melly. I'm a student assistant counselor and I'm a newly supervisor for RISAS. But when I hear you guys thinking about like what would work or what would realistically be in place in a school where we are agreeing that phone reduction or the use of phone can lead to better outcomes, right? Is also asking and eliciting information from the student themselves, because ultimately we would have to get the student input in order to reduce the phone, right? So if across from Providence, I know there is a lot of students involved in leadership in different committees, and it's really getting the student input in eliciting what would work for you, what would be realistic for your class, for your generation to reduce the cell phone, right? And informing our policy through also meeting the needs of the student. Because if the students don't agree with something, they don't necessarily have the skills yet to sit down and have an informed conversation about this is what we believe is better for you guys. A lot of them are able to do that, a lot of them are not, right? So eliciting information from the students to say, what would no cell phone look like for you guys? What is it that's bringing up that you feel you need to have a cell phone, right? And having that inform the policies.
I agree, student voice is important, because if they don't like it, they'll be coming to our school board meeting trying to get it. But I think, Aubrey, if you could help us, you have a great, in your role in PAC, I think is a great venue that we could utilize, if you wouldn't mind, in voicing, if they gave us a few, like, not a lot, 10, 15 minutes, and we can just go and ask parents what their thoughts are. We could just jot down their thoughts. I think that's a great way, because I wrote.
And yeah, I'm gonna involve PSU, and we have a couple youth that's joining this committee to learn about their mental health care, but also we're gonna make sure they join this subcommittee we are creating as well,
Be actually.
so they can be part of these decisions.
Absolutely. Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of things that we have that I want to give an update around mental health, because you're all right, mental health is so important. Even though COVID is over, even though COVID's really been over, but we still see an effect of what that has done. And so we have a really couple of exciting things. We have continued and expanded our mobile crisis units. And so we have two separate mobile crisis units that we can call. We have family services and we have TIDES. And what's great about the mobile crisis units is that when we have a child that is in crisis, what happens is we try to utilize the mobile crisis units. The child in the ambulance and they go at Hasbro, it can be a very, very long wait for students and families. And so we try to, obviously it was an emergency, we would do that, but normally we try to utilize that. It's just a much, I don't mean to say unfriendly, but it's just a little bit more of a personal experience with them. So that's something we're really excited about. The other thing that I'd like to share is, so our school-based mental health grant that we utilize to do a lot of the supports that we have, it is up this year. We did reapply, and so we're still waiting to hear, and hopefully, we'll be chosen. A lot of the supports and things and the wonderful things that we have been able to do, and some of the extra support positions have come from that grant. So hoping that next time we're here, I can announce that we've, gotten that grant.
One application already.
It's already submitted. We already submitted it. We're just waiting. So what the other thing that we also have is we have participated with FCRI and we have a grant. It's called the Community Behavioral Health Clinic Grant, and we're in the process of getting that signed. It's no cost to the district. We love free. And so it's no cost to the district, and basically what it'll do is it'll help support 2 extra clinicians that we can put in our schools. And it also comes with a case manager that can help us with basically our newcomer population and helping them to know how to navigate housing and, health insurance and whatnot. And so it's no cost to us. We're really excited about this, and hopefully by the end of the month, we should have that signed and we can start that. This year,
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who are the community development health groups?
FCRI. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You're talking about, the community. It's an FCRI grant. And I believe they did it in conjunction maybe with Buddha, if I'm not mistaken,
so.
right?
So.
It was with Buddha.
It's okay, so
Yeah.
it's, I just wasn't sure where the clinicians are coming from, which agency.
FCRI.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a grant that they co-jointly wrote, and then they asked if we wanted to be the recipients of it, and I said, as long as it doesn't cost us and we get support for kids, like, we're totally in. And so that was great. The other thing that the board might remember is we put the suicide prevention policy. And so this year, at the beginning of the school year, we trained so part of this policy is that every adult in the building, whether it's the custodian, whether it's the TA, whether it's the cafeteria worker, everybody is trained on our policy. So there's an adult component and then there's a student component. We use Erica's Lighthouse. A couple years ago back, some of you who've been on the committee with me for a while, Carmen, you probably remember, we in Dr. Presley, right? We did, I had a presentation of when we were thinking about which one we wanted to choose. I think, if it's okay with the school board members, I'd like to do another presentation on that curriculum, because I think something that we're seeing which I'm, watching closely, is the amount of suicide ideation that we have in our schools, sadly. And it's not just with our, secondary schools, it's at the elementary level. And so this is something I think that's really important. So I'd like this committee to have, my team will do it, where they will share with you what the students are receiving. Again, Erica's Lighthouse is a free program. It has an incredible story. And I found it at a SEL mental health conference that I attended. Again, free. We just have to do a few little things, but pretty much it's free, but it's actually excellent. And it actually was done by a mom who unfortunately lost a child. And so I would like to add that. I know we're doing a lot of presentations, but we could do something quick.
Yeah.
I think it's important that, this committee knows what we've been doing around that particular policy. Again, to your point, Karen, the school board adopted the policy, but we have a guidebook, or we have our blueprint of how we enact that, and I think it's important to share with this group. So I'd like to add that.
Something that we added for the December.
I think that might be too much.
That'd be too much.
Yeah.
I think maybe the March meeting.
Because I know the holidays tend to be sometimes not always the
Yeah.
happiest time for
I was thinking maybe March. I have Sodexo for our next meeting, and then smart clinics for our next meeting, and then I can push suicide prevention.
There are higher rates of suicide in the spring.
So
So
maybe
people are actually more connected to holidays, even though they're down. They have more
that
social
more.
connection.
they're with family more.
Right, they tend to be with family a little bit more. But the spring is where you often see that.
And then I think if you, once you see it, Aubrey, you might look and say, that might be something you might want us to do with the PAC, I think, too, at families, because that often comes up quite a bit at PAC, rightfully so. So I have that. The other thing I also had for just a priority is we have to get our policy, so our wellness policy so we're still in, I think we're in pretty much final draft. I think we have to do one more quick look, but what I would like to do is maybe at the next meeting, have everybody here just put one more final set of eyes on it before we send it off to the policy committee for review. I think we had some past members work, we have some new members, and it's just great to have another perspective on it before we send it off to the policy.
Yeah, that's how the one response then will come on our sheet.
Yeah.
So, I think the next meeting we can review it.
The feedback, and then I'll be ready to send it over to the policy committee at that
I
time.
have a question, is substance directly addressed in the wellness?
But what I can do is I can send everybody, so one of the reasons I collected everyone's email addresses, usually what I do is I'll set a invitation, so you all will get an invite from me for each of the meetings, so it'll come up on your calendar. I already created the Google Doc, it was attached to this agenda, thanks to Martha. She attached it so you can actually fill it out, and it asks for your information, it asks for what.
It's like a PDF code, you can't.
Oh, is it one?
Yeah, because when I went to do it, I tried to
Oh.
click on it and it would.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, that happens sometimes, I'm gonna send it to all of you, now that I have your emails, and then what I ask you is, like Chairman said, is to send that out to you, blast it to, your networks, and then I usually put it up on the website also.
Yeah, I'll post it too.
Yeah, and that way we can make sure we get some additional, so we'll do that too. And also PAC, we usually do speak at PAC, and ask anybody, usually they invite either Julie or I for like 5 or 10 minutes, not even all that, just to talk about our committee and see if there's any parents that,
Yeah,
want to join.
I'm gonna touch base with the planning maybe coming up. so
Okay.
that'll be
So you just let me know, and I've done that, I've gone and talked to parents, and we actually have had a couple parents that didn't want to join the committee, but they wanted all the information, I would just send them out the information.
So I guess it's more of a suggestion. I think it's great to talked to Pat and get the parents there, but what about doing a, parent university on the SEL stuff that's going on? Have you talked to Janet about that?
It's a great idea, we could totally do that, my team
I think
can
that'd be
totally
a
help
great idea.
support.
Yeah.
You just let me know, talk to Janet.
All right, I'll talk to Janet.
We do a lot of parent universities, I do MLL, I do some for special education. So I oversee various departments of the district, so we've done quite a few of them. But if there's like a specific one, like we could do the suicide prevention with the, like we.
Or even just like a basis of like, even just what you brought up now, just a little more depth so parents are aware, because I know,
Sure.
you know, a lot of parents have a lot of questions about, oh, what's going on with counselors, what's going on for our kids in crisis, and with what you've said, I think that would set a lot of parents at ease
Sure.
and help get them more involved.
100%, whatever you need me to do, either I or my team will support you. We've actually done one at Barton, didn't we, Dr. Wesley, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, for the
Like 3 years
PTO.
ago.
Was it that long ago?
I don't know, 10 fives. We did do a PTO.
We
I
did
think.
one there,
But
yeah.
you also did a virtual parent university.
I did one about like sexual health.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
was like,
Oh, I thought,
I can't remember. She was talking about like Cindy actually came, and I think somebody else in her team.
Oh,
came
is
too,
that
like,
considered-
presented to the
Natalie,
PTO
Natalie and I
talking
at the
about
time
the-
did it.
about
Oh,
SEL specifically.
okay.
And
When you
it's-
said parent university, are you talking about the virtual, that parents, yeah,
Yeah, like the webinar.
yes, yeah. So you're talking about doing the SEL on the platform of parent university.
Yeah.
Recording,
But we do it if schools like Dr. Wesley reached
Yeah.
out to us, we're
Yeah.
more than happy to,
Yeah.
you know, if that comes up
What
as
do
a
you think,
PTO.
Sandy? Do you find more, just wondering, for being with the pack too, just so hard, like I think parents need this information, they want it, sometimes life with schedules and childcare, like it's great to offer it out of school because you feel more comfortable going to your own school and being in person, but do you get more people, do you think, that will just tune in on their phone? I don't know, how has the, I mean, you probably can't answer that for Jan Pichardo, I just wondered what they get now with Parent University for most.
Parent University usually gets pretty good response,
Yeah.
and because it's at a time that like, and because it is online, so there are times when I'm on it, I'm cooking dinner,
Mhm.
right? I don't have to worry
You
about,
can hear
and
it.
because it's a webinar, so I could listen to it and still go pick up the kids or, you know, wait while they're at practice.
It's a
It's
live
live.
one.
No, it's live.
It's live.
So do they record them?
Mhm.
Yeah, so you could
Yeah.
go after and watch it as well.
It's also in Spanish, which I think a
Yeah.
lot of PTOs like just don't have the capacity to do that.
To have the
Like, it's sort of
translation.
the first year that Barton started
Yeah.
having
Yeah,
an interpreter there, and I don't know how we did that.
It
the
was,
PTO anymore,
it was
but,
effective. So
It's
every
literally nice.
every single PTO meeting, we should have, in whatever the language is of the children at that building, we have a contract with Effective where they will either come in person, they will also do on, you know, virtually. And so every time, you know, the administrators or anyone at the building, whoever is initiating that, should be utilizing that service. That is why we do that. We make that service available. We even do it with school board.
yeah, that is
So-
important.
Including
The other thing
PTOs.
too, I think, with the
Including
virtual.
anything,
Yeah.
any parent
Sure,
engagement
yeah.
event, whether it's conferences, whether it's a PTO meeting, whether, you know, anything. And even if you're having a conversation with the teacher to parent, you could get them right on your phone. Like, and so it's an incredible.
All schools have that
all-
ability to request.
Every
it.
single person in our
Yeah.
department, every single person in our district,
Amazing, yeah.
departments, everything, everybody has that.
Community partners have access to that.
Absolutely.
And in the school, our counselors.
Mhm. Yep, even our counselors have that.
But for, say, a parent meeting, or parent
Mhm.
presentation.
Absolutely. All our IEPs are translated. They're a translation and interpretation
Yeah.
services. Mhm. Yes.
I remember, you know, in the finance department.
Yes.
Before you were advocating for translation services, so I'm glad to see this. Great.
Great.
Any other
Got-
comment that we
Got a
have?
lot done tonight.
Oh, suggestions?
I'm just gonna like do my flag waving for healthy relationships, because I didn't hear a lot of that you were talking about tonight. You did mention it, so.
I have it, yeah.
I was just curious, maybe from you too, Sandy, if you have updates on the district side, and also like what your priorities are from the school board, because I feel like sometimes because there's a lot to do in this committee. Sometimes I think, there's no Sodexo for healthy relationships, no offense, but like, they have to do their thing. So does the other subcommittees and SELs, like, as
We have to have very targeted goals, Dr. Rossi. I think that's,
we have to focus, but we
very
also need to
focused.
hear a little bit.
Yeah.
And have some space to hear someone talk about it, so just sort of curious if you guys could talk more about that. Because I'm gonna do whatever I can do, but I also wanna also recruit. If you're asking us to recruit people, I think I need a little help figuring out like, well, who do we need to, like, who needs to be at the table? Are we focusing on parent engagement? Are we focusing on the curriculum again? I don't know. So
But would you
sort of
think
curious.
bullying, because I heard you mention that a couple of times, and I think that goes well with health relationships, and then I could also connect Dr. Onye, who's done amazing work with, bullying too, and I know she, would definitely, I know she couldn't be here tonight, but she definitely often, comes when she can. And so, like, I think if you both agree, I think that might be a great focus for that group, because we've done a lot of things throughout the year, so, throughout the years, we've done a lot of different topics. I think it might be good.
Yeah, I think that could be really interesting. Maybe it overlaps a little bit with like team gaining violence, which is something
Mm-hmm.
that's super important, but we haven't really spent a lot of time talking about in this committee, but yeah.
And then I did have down here too, like, so we'll have the co-chairs again, so I'll assign someone from PPSD and someone from the committee. I like when we do that partnership and that, cooperation, I think is great as co-chairs. And so we'll assign Mr. DiMuccio will be nutrition and physical activity. Viviana Navia from my SEL mental health office will be the SEL. She couldn't be here today, she was sick, but I still haven't decided. I was waiting to kind of think, well, now that I know it's bullying, I'll think about who the person that will co-chair with that, I think. And I have already set up the folder, like we've always done prior to put all the notes. It's all set up, and once I know who's gonna be in which, I'll give access. It has the minutes, it has the presentations, and it has all the supporting docs we need, so all that is ready to go.
And also when you were reaching out, networks, students, teachers, families, and I'm working with PSU. I'm gonna make sure students come here, and I have students from classical, STA, and central high schools. I believe 12 of them they're gonna be joining this committee. So I want this to grow so we can make sure parents and students they join these subcommittees. That's great.
I like the idea, Chairman, I would even recommend that, healthy relationships almost be its own, if we could, have its own subject as well. Because it is important as we roll out this education, as that gets more exposed, there's other factors about building, proper relationships among students and getting more parents involved with that too. If we could, I know we don't want to probably overexpand too many subgroups, but I would recommend that.
Thank you. We're gonna meet again with Chairman to talk about the subcommittees and and jury too, and looking to see to make sure everybody's appointed and to see like what the committee, what other things they're gonna be working on. And and especially I want students to join, get paid, and we're gonna get it done. And any other suggestions? Yes.
Oh, mental health fair.
Mental health fair.
If it's okay with everyone, I'd like to work on some dates, and the next time we meet, share some dates with you all. I think it's amazing if we can do it again in May. It was wonderful having it during Mental Health Week. I think it just is a great way to, bring awareness.
Mhm.
And we're always looking for things to do, and it was a great turnout. So I'll bring some dates, because I want to make sure PCT is available.
Yeah.
Because we'll need to start planning that right away, because that's a big, that's a big, we might need a separate subcommittee just for that.
Yeah.
To plan that, so,
So much.
yeah, so
Um,
Mr. Junichi will be helping me, he's my sidekick this year.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to follow up on the Healthy Relationships Committee, and something that I believe I talked about, it's been 2 years in the making, but it was a project that Rhode Island Healthy Schools worked on with the Department of Health, and it's a web app called Right to Know for Rhode Island teens and young adults about sexual and reproductive health information and access to services. And it really was designed, we had youth who were part of, actually Jack was part of too, an advisory group. It covers everything from healthy, unhealthy relationships, dating violence, online, pornography, and then everything from STIs and birth control. So it's really full information, but it was designed really with young people in mind. Not a lot of text heavy. It can be translated into 30-something languages, all of the text, a lot of graphics and videos to make it appealing to younger people. And again, it's medically accurate. It was all, vetted, all of the information by the Department of Health and physicians. And we have these posters. I actually did meet with the Smart Clinic director last year to talk about what would be helpful. So we have posters, and I'm going to pass these around so that you could actually go on and look at it.
Carl, could you meet with Bobby?
Yeah,
So
well, that's
that
what
way
I
he
think,
could just
because
kind of go through all that, would you mind? So you could go through all of
Absolutely.
the resources and then he would know how would be
Yeah.
the best way to.
pass these around,
Yeah.
because it could be, so it could be a resource to health educators, to help them in their classroom teachers, to students themselves, to parents. We've had a number of parents who said, this has been helpful for me in having conversations with my kids. But we're also working with physician offices and youth organizations to get it out and available to young people. So wanted to have everyone have a look. We've just started to print all of these and they're available for order. So we can talk, whoever, I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
have
who
you
in the
connect,
district.
I'm gonna have you
Yep.
connect with Bobby,
Okay.
share with him all the resources,
Yep.
and then what I'm assuming he'll have to do, I'm not his direct supervisor, but, Dr. Dillon is, but what I'm sure he'll do is he'll look at that, make a recommendation of what, and then you'll need to meet with Dr. Dillon, right, Ms. Tamishi?
Yeah.
And so then he can come back and share with the committee,
Okay.
if
Yeah.
that
Terrific.
sounds okay.
So if you have questions you want to do quick, if you use the QR code on the back, it'll bring you right to it. So it is either, we learned actually, it was first going to just be an app, but we learned that young people were like, nah, wouldn't really download it. We'll use it, but I'll use it on my phone. They're all using it in the mobile version, but not actually, some do, but we're finding less actual downloads of the app. So it's what's called the progressive web app. So it's both. So you can look at it on a laptop, but there's a mobile enhanced version. But you can either download it as an app or just go on the website. So,
And please,
and there's like a
Yeah.
quick exit button. Someone was just telling me where I was today how important that was. So that if you were looking at it and whether it's a friend, you're uncomfortable saying, oh, I'm looking at this, there's a whole section on vocabulary, frequently asked questions, or if there's someone there that you don't want, to see, you just, and you go into just a Google search, so you can feel safe. So I will do that. Yeah.
please keep this committee updated, because I think that some of this we should, the teachers who have it in the classrooms, even some of the jobs the students are creating. So, great thing that we can help them.
Yeah, and
next
probably
time.
who- You have the nurse, that's not under you.
Nursing
you're
is
the
me.
nursing supervisor.
I know it gets a
So
little,
you're,
so I'm
yeah.
health services.
So probably health services.
So
you
prior
use
health
as well.
services, physical education and health were all in one office. And now what we've done because of the new restructure is now moved, as it should, right? Physical health and health should be under teaching and learning and as curriculum. And then I just still kept nurse services, so.
So if you want to see if,
I can actually take one of those two, is that two? Do you have one more? Because what I can do is
Yeah.
take one for Kendra, who's my
yeah, well, here,
director.
take this one, because this
Okay.
is an example of, if you want to order these, you can put it in order for you. If the, office, at your middle and high schools, would probably be.
Yeah, I can
The
share this.
appropriate places, yeah, even.
Do we have to pay for it?
Nursing homes.
You're gonna give us a deal, right?
No. you don't have to pay for it. Get in while the getting's good with the Department of Health, but I got the money for it.
I know, that's why I'm saying,
Yeah,
we're gonna get it for you, Bobby.
yeah.
This is good. Thank you so much. Do we have any other comments, suggestions? Without any other comment and suggestions, next line item is to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
a second meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Great meeting.
Right?
Oh, someone is keep it. You keep it. You keep it.